5 a.m, my alarm went off. I groaned and turned it off, wishing that I could have let myself snooze it. I shuddered as I pulled back my quilt to face the cold, wintry air in my bedroom. I hobbled over to the bathroom, took a cold shower, made an espresso, and sat down at my desk. My stomach dropped when I saw my to-do list. Oh dear, better get started. 7 a.m. came by and I still had not moved. At 10 a.m, I got up to eat some breakfast, which was a bowl of cereal, which I ate at my desk. 2 p.m, and I grabbed another snack, and then straight back to work. 7 p.m, and my family told me to come down for dinner, and I told them I was almost done. At 8 p.m, I finally came downstairs and ate dinner by myself. I went back upstairs straight afterwards and worked until 10 p.m, until eventually I took my laptop, I took a pillow, and I took a blanket into the living room, and I lay myself down on the living room floor and I typed until I fell asleep. That was my 2022, or at least the vast majority of it. It was then the following morning that I could not physically lift myself up off the ground because I was so exhausted that I knew I couldn't continue to live like this. And I decided in that moment, right then and there, that I would change. I knew there had to be another way because I still had really big, audacious goals that I wanted to reach, but I refused to ever let it sap away every ounce of health and happiness from my life ever again. Fast forward 4 years and I am now in the best place I've ever been in my entire life. I actually could not even help but smile as I wrote that sentence in the newsletter because this is without a doubt the best chapter that I've ever been in my entire life so far. I am working a job that I absolutely love. I have the dream clients, the dream business, the dream life. I have multiple 5 figures in savings and I am fit and healthy and I'm happy. So in today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the 6 wellness habits that I had to learn and implement to get to where I am today. Because hey, I still work very hard, actually about 77 hours a week at the moment. But that is a whole nother story, so please don't attack me in the comments for that just yet. Because this time, the work actually feels so deeply fulfilling, and I also have a life that is thriving outside of just my output. I am at this really beautiful stage where I am so peacefully content, but I'm also really excited for everything that is to come. So a quick little note on work-life balance, because I know that you're probably thinking like, okay, well, how are you supposed to be happy and healthy and balanced if you're working that much? Honestly, I should probably do an entire episode, and I'm actually thinking about doing an entire vlog of a work week / balancing my life week in my life so that you guys can understand that a bit more, because I think at face value it sounds kind of crazy, but I promise you it makes sense when I explain it properly. But regarding work-life balance, something that I want to clarify is that doesn't necessarily mean doing 8 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep, and 8 hours of leisure every single day. In a perfect world, if everyone was the same, that might be the case, but we are all different and we all have different facets and requirements about life, and so that just isn't really a good rule of thumb. Instead, I like to think of it in terms of energy. So is the work that I'm doing giving me enough of a sense of purpose and also the resources like money and other resources to enjoy my life outside of work? And is the stuff that I'm doing outside of work fulfilling enough to me and providing me with enough energy and filling my cup up enough to be able to do my work to the best of my ability? Neither work nor life should take away from the other. They should both complement and enhance each other. That being said, the absolute foundation of both your work and your play and your rest and your happiness is health. That is the absolute foundation of everything that you will basically be pursuing, because without your health, you have nothing. Without it, you cannot possibly work to your highest possible capacity, nor can you clock out and enjoy your life with the greatest possible level of fulfillment. And that is why, despite so many people calling wellness a trend, I continue to look after my health and well-being as though it is my job, because it is. The healthier and the happier that you are, the better your work output will be. So here are the 6 wellness habits that I have implemented into my life over the past 4 years, and I would strongly encourage that you look at to implement in your life as well. But before we do that, hello and welcome back to the Successfully Balanced podcast. I am your host, Aria Bradley, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode. If you're new here, welcome. We have actually been growing so far, so the chances that you're new here are very high. But thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. This podcast is for the ambitious women who have some crazy, amazing, incredible, quote-unquote delusional goals and want to achieve them faster and further than they ever imagined, but in a way that doesn't require them to burn out and completely sacrifice the rest of their life, because I believe in success and balance, hence the podcast Successfully Balanced. So if that sounds like you are in the right place, and I would strongly encourage you to subscribe or follow this podcast if you are listening on Spotify, because you will then not miss out on any episodes. But if you have enjoyed this episode, I would love if you could give it a rating. If you're on Spotify, at the moment we have a a streak of 5 stars, and I really want to keep that. Like maybe that's just a bit of my perfectionist brain, but it would mean the world to me if you give this podcast a rating, especially if you give it 5 stars. That would just be so cool. But if you're on YouTube as well, give it a like and then leave a comment down below. Tell me something that you took away from this episode and something that you found really helpful and something that you're going to implement in your life, because listening to this episode is not going to help you unless you actually implement the stuff I say. And if you really are serious about leveling up your life and going above and beyond this year, I have left the link in the description to join Elevate. That is my year-long coaching program where you get access to all of the courses and resources, and me personally, I'm in there every single day in the community to level up your life and achieve the most delusional, unrealistic, quote-unquote goals that you can possibly have. So if you're interested, that is in the description. Otherwise, we will get into it. But one more thing, every episode I love to share something that I have been doing to both work towards my goals and something that I've been doing to have more balance in my life. So this week is kind of similar to last week, but I have been working really hard at my job as a coach at Creator College, and I've been looking after my students in the VIP cohort because they are all incredible human beings. And if you're listening to this, if you're in my cohort, I love you so much, you're awesome. But I've also been working on building a August challenge for my followers on Instagram at by Ari Bradley, because I really want to, I've made a really big point this time about when I was having started a new account about making sure that I'm really intentional with creating things that are really going to help my audience. And so I've been listening really carefully and posting polls on my story and stuff to really understand what my audience wants and how I can serve them best. So I'm thinking it's going to be a discipline challenge, but I might be wrong. So if you're following me on Instagram, then you'll be able to see the behind the scenes of me making that. Then on the other side, in terms of balance, this evening, my boyfriend and I are watching Bridgerton and we're making gnocchi for dinner. And then tomorrow night, I'm actually going out for dinner with one of my friends and we're going ice skating, which is going to be so exciting. I'm so excited for it. And then on Sunday, I'm visiting my grandparents, and then we're having afternoon tea together. And then also on Sunday evening, my boyfriend's coming over and my family is having him for dinner. So it's going to be a really nice weekend. And I'm also doing parkrun tomorrow morning, so Saturday morning. Because I love running and it's gonna be so good. So I'm so excited, and yeah, it's just been really good. I feel like this chapter of my life has been so wholesome, and yeah, I just feel really satisfied with both my work and also just the balance that I've had in my life. So it's been really good. So number one, the first wellness habit that I have implemented to improve my productivity is no phone for the first hour of the day. This is something that I stand by with my whole heart. When you go on your phone in the morning, you immediately put yourself at a disadvantage in two main ways. I mean, there's a lot more than this, but two main ways. The first one is that you are exposing yourself to so many opinions and voices that aren't your own, and oftentimes these can actually put us in a really bad mood from the start of the day all the way for the rest of the day. I know, for example, that if I go on my phone and I see something on the news that's really not great, then I'll often be in a really bad mood for the rest of the day. So I would just rather find out about that later in the day when at least my important work's done and I don't need to be in a good mood. Number two is that when you go on your phone in the morning, you get a really big hit of dopamine, which then makes it really difficult to focus throughout the rest of the day. I feel like I've probably spoken about dopamine detoxing and stimulation and things like that on a lot of episodes, but essentially when you are exposed to artificial stimuli, whether that's high sugar or watching a movie, actually watching a movie isn't as much, but potentially video games, scrolling on social media, they raise our dopamine levels a lot higher than they would naturally be. And so when you come down from that contrast between the high and low states of dopamine and that stimulus in your brain makes it really difficult to focus, and it makes your brain kind of irritable, and so it's very difficult to focus the rest of the day. So essentially what I do now is I'll put my phone either on the other side of the room, or if I need it for my alarm, it'll be nearby me, but I'll just turn off my alarm and I won't go on it. It's just it just isn't an important part of my morning. Instead, go get some sunshine, do some yoga, do some breath work, go to the gym, do something nourishing for your soul, because your phone is the complete opposite of that. It is not the way to start your morning. How you spend the first hour of your day is one of the biggest determinants of how the rest of your day and thus how the rest of your life will go. So if you are serious about building a future that you're proud of, which I know you are, if you're listening to this episode, if you're serious about that, then I know that if you start going on your phone in the morning, you will have a much better day and thus a much better life. So do not take that lightly. Treat that first hour really well. Number two is daily walks. I used to think of this as sort of an afterthought. It was if I got time, then I'll go for a walk. And yes, I'll admit, sometimes I am really busy and there is just so much work and I don't get time for it. But I would say probably almost every day, probably at least 5 to 6 days a week, I'm able to go for a walk. So rather than thinking I'll do it when I have time, I go out of my way and I make the time. Now, there's a very interesting diagram that I want to bring to your attention. I'll put it on the screen here. This was a study by Dr. Chuck Hillman from the University of Illinois, and it shows the difference in brain activity before and after a walk. And as you can quite clearly see, there is quite a lot more brain activity from going after a walk versus just sitting down. So essentially, I now see walking as the secret hack to being more focused, because the more awake and alive your brain is, the easier it's going to be to lock in and get your work done. So even if you spend half an hour walking, it feels like, oh my gosh, that's half an hour of my day that I'm taking out to go for a walk. But really, if you do the math, it's like, okay, well, how much more focus are you gaining from that? And like your work output is going to be so much higher just taking that 5-10 minute walk out of your day. You're going to perform so much better for the entire rest of your day. So essentially now I see this as something to prioritize and to deliberately make time for, not just something that I'll do if I get time. And I strongly encourage you to do the same. Number 3 is to have a savory breakfast. Now, I'm not a registered nutritionist, but I have done multiple university courses in nutrition, specifically on macronutrients and how they affect your focus. The 3 major macronutrients are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. So carbohydrates are things like bread, pasta, rice, potato. Fats are avocados, oils, or coconut yogurt. And then proteins are things like meat, fish, quinoa, tofu, you get the idea. But I want to focus on carbohydrates for a minute. So essentially carbohydrates fall onto a scale depending on what's called their glycemic index. So the glycemic index is basically an indication of how quickly the glucose, or like the sugar from the food, enters your bloodstream after you eat it. So how quickly it's digested, how quickly it's broken down. High GI foods are rapidly absorbed and cause a really big spike in your blood glucose levels. And then after that, they come down really quickly and you will get a crash and you feel pretty tired and sluggish. On the other hand, low glycemic index foods, so things like complex carbohydrates versus things like sugars, they're the high GI ones. The sweeter ones, they are the high glycemic index, which is usually the less sweet, the lower glycemic index. So the lower GI ones, they are released a lot slower into the bloodstream, and so you have a very stable source and supply of energy over the day, and you'll often just feel like really steady energy, and you won't feel like such an afternoon slump, and you just be able to maintain this energy level so that you can be more productive throughout the day. So when you have a sweet breakfast like jam on toast or a sugary cereal, you'll feel energetic for a bit and like it's really yummy, it tastes good, but not long afterwards you will probably feel really tired and really sluggish and find it really difficult to stay awake long enough to focus properly. And this is why at least the majority of days I will have a savory breakfast. So generally it's something like an eggs and vegetables and a bit of toast or something like that. At the moment I've really been loving a spinach and mushroom omelette on this like dark rye kind of toast with like grains and stuff, and then I put feta on top. Like that's my favorite breakfast at the moment. I probably had it for like a week straight. But yeah, I usually have savory breakfast, but occasionally I'll have pancakes. Sometimes I'll have like yogurt and granola or porridge or something. But yeah, generally at the moment it's savory, and that's probably something I'll continue doing, especially when I know that I have a lot of work to get done. This has been such a game changer for me, so I would strongly encourage you to look at some options for you. Okay, number 4 is evening yoga. I have a friend who is a yoga instructor, and she is absolutely just such a beautiful soul inside and out. And something that I'm always so inspired by is how calm she is. Like she's just always so at peace. She's always so like happy. Like she's just, I love her so much. Anyway, so I was like, oh, there must be something about the yoga then. Like surely all the yoga instructors I know, they're all just beautiful people. So there must be something about it. So I decided to try it out for myself. So for the past about week and a half now, I've been doing yoga pretty much every evening for about 20 minutes. And oh my Lord, it has been amazing. Like I just feel like it's improved my life in so many ways. So number 1, I feel calmer and I feel happier, which is awesome. My back doesn't hurt so much, although sitting down in this position definitely does not help. But usually when I'm sitting like at my desk, it's not too bad. I'm also more flexible, and oh my gosh, the best bit though, the absolute best bit is that I have consistently gotten more than 7 hours of sleep for pretty much a week now, which I think is like my longest streak ever, which you might find that really surprising, especially because I emphasize sleep so much. But for context, I've had insomnia for over 10 years, so it takes me hours to fall asleep at night, no matter what I do. And I'm on like a lifetime prescription of melatonin now. So I do try my best to get my sleep, and I do strongly encourage you guys to please get your 8 hours. But yeah, considering just the way that my body and my brain work, it's very difficult. So the fact that I've been able to get more than 7 hours of sleep for, I want to say like 5 or 6 nights in a row now, I'm very happy, and I just feel like it's just made the rest of my life so much better. I feel so much happier, I feel so much more energetic, and I can actually focus, and yeah, life's just been good. So essentially doing yoga has definitely improved my life and definitely my productivity. I've actually been doing the yoga for dancers class through the platform Ballet with Isabella, so if any of you guys listening are dancers, ballet dancers, whatever, I would strongly recommend that platform. It's really good and all the videos are really nice, so would definitely recommend. Number 5 is what I like to call clock out time. So I deliberately set aside about 5 to 10 hours every single week to do something that is not at all remotely productive. So no content, no cleaning, nothing productive. It is genuinely just this really high nutrient leisure time that I use to refuel my battery and feel more happier and healthier and just spend time doing things that I love. And so I'm not going to look back at my 20s and be like, oh, well, I didn't enjoy myself, because this is the time where I'm making memories and I'm having the good vibes. So instead, I'll often do things like watching a movie with my boyfriend, which we're doing tonight, and we're currently watching Bridgerton, or rewatching Bridgerton. We're at season 4, episode 4 or 5 at the moment, which has been fun. And tomorrow, going ice skating with my friend, but that's another thing that I'll do. Getting dinner with my mum, or laying in bed and staring at the ceiling, like sometimes we all just need that. Or sometimes literally just sitting in the bath and reading a book and just letting the day go by. And let me just say that when you're so high performing and you work so hard throughout the week, this time is absolutely essential. Like, I cannot skip on my clock out time. Otherwise, I know, like, if I start the next week without having had some time over the weekend where I've literally just been doing nothing, I will feel it, and I'll really carry it over into the next week, and I just won't feel rested, I won't feel rejuvenated. And also I think my creative energy just isn't the same, as in, like, I don't really feel very inspired to create content. I don't feel like I can think of many ideas, and so I just know that having that time where I'm not doing anything work related is really important to maintain that in the long run. So if you take nothing else away from this episode, let it be to lock in and clock out. Okay, number 6 is decluttering and tidying. And this one may not really sound like a wellness habit, so to speak, but I can definitely feel a difference in my health and well-being when I do declutter and I have my spaces clean versus when there's just stuff everywhere and things just feel really cluttered and messy. When my spaces around me feel cluttered, I just feel like my brain is cluttered and I can't think properly and I can't do my work properly. So every Sunday I will spend a good chunk of time listening to a podcast and just cleaning, like vacuuming, putting stuff away, doing the washing, like all of that kind of stuff. I'll usually do most of that in a chunk, like on every Sunday, but also throughout the week. Like if I see something laying on the floor, I'll just put it away rather than just letting it collect and being like, oh, I'll put it away later, because I know that I'm just gonna keep walking past and it'll keep piling up and then it'll be too big of a job to do and then I just won't do it and then I'll be tired, and you get the idea. I also love a good declutter. So about once every quarter, I will go through my wardrobe and I'll get rid of any items, well, I'll usually donate them to a charity shop, any items that I don't wear anymore. I just don't want them anymore, because it also, like, it's really good mentally to kind of get rid of that stuff and like let go of that kind of old energy that's kind of sitting around you, but also to realize that you actually do have like enough. And sometimes I think that we get into this habit of being like, oh, I don't have this exact right jacket, and then you actually go through your clothes and you're like, oh, well, this will actually do. And I think I've actually kind of gotten a habit of not spending, I don't want to say not spending enough. Like, I'm very hesitant to buy new clothes. Like, actually the other weekend I bought this jacket. It was this is like the first piece of clothing that I bought in like months. I can't even remember the previous piece. Like, this top was my mom's, these pants were my mom's, these Ugg boots that I'm wearing, I got them in 2018, I think. So I'm definitely a chronic outfit repeater and chronic clothes rewearer, but I think there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes it just helps to remember what clothes I do have, so I don't have to just wear a uniform, because usually I will kind of just stick to a set of clothes for 2 weeks straight and then realize that I need to be a bit more inventive than that. Anyways, my main point with that though, from a productivity perspective, is that it helps clear my mind and it helps me feel more on task and that my brain isn't everywhere, because a clear space equals a clear mind. So make sure that your space represents how you want to feel. Now, for those of you who are still listening to this podcast, I know that you are so committed to achieving your goals, and I love that for you, and I am 100% here rooting for you, cheering you on. It's definitely something to go out of your way and actually put yourself in a position where you're learning new stuff and hearing things from someone who is maybe just a few steps ahead of you. However, just that learning is not going to get you anywhere. And I say this from the bottom of my heart, even as like a intellectual creator, so to say, I don't really think that that's going to solve all your problems. There are plenty of super ambitious women who actually, and quite unfortunately, never reach their goals. And my biggest mission as both a creator and an entrepreneur is to help you achieve your goals. And that was exactly what I had in mind when I built Elevate. So Elevate is my year-long program. We have courses, community, and coaching, and it is all the stuff that you need to achieve your quote-unquote delusional goals, because I know how it feels to feel so stuck and feeling like every single day you're working hard but just not quite making progress and not quite feeling like you are living that life yet where you have the time, location, the financial freedom. And I know how difficult that can be to be so ambitious and have so many goals but just feel like you don't believe you can get there, or you feel like you don't feel confident, or all these things. And so I created this program to help you overcome all those barriers so that you can achieve your goals so much faster and further than you ever imagined. Like, I literally want you to look back on your life in 6 months time and be like, wow, I did not even realize that my life could be this good. Because that's how I feel right now. I mean, I was kind of said it throughout the episode, but this is the best chapter of my life. And if you went back to the start of this year, I would have been beside myself. Like, I'd be like, what? Like, how is this even possible? And so I think that that's just kind of proof that if I can do it, then you can do it too. And so many of the girls in Elevate have been doing some incredible stuff. You can just look at our website and see all the testimonials. Like, I would be here for ages if I was to go through every single one, but it is the place where the women succeed. So if that sounds like something that you are interested in, the link is in the description of this episode in my Stan store. Otherwise, if you're still wondering, like, is this right for me? I have a 45-minute masterclass in the description, which depending on when you're listening to this episode, it may be called something or maybe called something else, but at the moment it's called the 5x method, and this is basically how to 5x your life and how to move up the next 5 levels of your life and just achieve so much more in all those areas in a way that still you can feel healthy and happy. So I truly hope that helps you, and I truly hope that this episode has helped you from the bottom of my heart. I really hope that you've learned so much from today's episode, and I hope that you implement it. Like, seriously, write in the comments something that you're going to do to implement something you've learned today, and I will hold you accountable. I'll make sure you do it, okay? And other than that, I hope you have the most amazing week, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Oh my goodness, okay, if you're still here, you got some tea. Last episode I made, it went crazy viral, like on Spotify at least. I think on YouTube, I think it got 10k views, which, like, you know, I don't have that many subscribers, so that's quite a lot. But on Spotify, it got like 3,000 times the usual views that we get for podcasts. So, like, it's kind of crazy. But it was such high intensity for me to edit that episode. It took me a long time. So it won't be something that I do often, but I'm thinking of doing a similar style episode on another Olympic athlete who maybe you can guess who it is, but we'll see. Just because I think it's so interesting to kind of study how they become so successful. And yeah, I just found it really interesting. So maybe look out for that episode. If I had the time and the energy to do that, I will. But this episode is probably maybe a bit shorter, a bit lower intensity, just because I really want to enjoy my weekend this weekend, because I know the next week's going to be pretty intense. So I'm keeping this episode lower intensity, but don't worry, you will see higher intensity ones coming up. It's just me looking after my mental health, because it would not make sense for me to be pushing myself beyond my limits and then telling you guys to take a chill pill, you know? So anyways, that's my tea for you if you stayed to the end of this episode. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will see you in next week's episode. That's all I have to say. Bye.